closer friend of Carole to give a little speech. I expressly asked them to possibly to remember her with joy, but clearly, given the fact that they are the closest friends, they might be moved by the moment. So, but the idea is to remember her with joy, because she was a joyful person and she actually put lots of joy in our lives. So I'll ask Barbara if she's ready to remember Carole. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Caterina. I came prepared to that. Last Thursday evening, during Carole's memorial at the end of the whale watching subcommittee meeting, we were moved about the memories shared of the wonderful woman, an exceptional professional she was for so many years at the IWC Scientific Committee. Today, we wish to share our memories with the Carole that we knew best, the women that trusted and unconditionally supported us when we were just starting to work in whale conservation in Chile. The visitor that back in 2004 came for the first time to Chiloé Island and discovered that the mysterious whales we were seeing from shore were in fact blue whales. The adventurers that followed us in the craziest service along the island, sleeping less than 3 hours a day and driving under the worst weather and road conditions back to our base camp in the middle of the night, only to arrive and celebrate an exhaustive agenda with a nice glass of red wine. The scientists that so wisely advised us to begin a scientific research program on whales. The teacher that so generously taught us everything we know about photo ID and many, many more. The traveler that after more than 15 hours of flights and airports always arrived to Chiloé with a huge smile on her face and a bag of presents for everyone. The cetologists that love blue whales, but whose heart lightened up even more when encountering humpback whales in southern Chilean waters. The food lover that enjoyed to end a day's work at sea eating locos empanada with lots of hot sauce from a tiny fisherman's shack. The great cook that nurtured us after a hard day's work with delicious recipes that she was always willing to share with everyone. The policy advocate that successfully convinced national authorities that whale watching is by far a better alternative than whaling. The environmental educator that showed local fishermen the importance of marine conservation. But most of all, the friend. The friend that was, and still we feel, is always with us. The friend that stood by our side in hard times, that made us laugh our hearts out with her incredible and acute sense of humor, and, among too many other things to describe now, gift our lives with her friendship and love. Today, at the Mother's Day, she may not have children of her own, but she is for us our whale mother. Carole, we love you and miss you. But as you told us last December, we will see each other again for sure. We are sure we will. To Carole.
Cheers. Okay. So, Councilman,
Here.
please. Accept them again.
Hey, good evening.
No, it was on.
Good evening. Usually, Carole gave me some scenario how to talk this session, but today, this evening, I don't have Carole So I don't expect, so smart, talk. Anyway, I was nominated a convener of whale-watching subcommittees by the strong order of the John Bannister, who was our chair of the scientific committees. And he said, the work is very, very easy. Easy. He said, even Gordon Anderson, late Mr. Gordon Anderson, can do that. And he assigned, okay, the John Bannister, I will so provide Carole Carlson as rapporteur or Leo chair of the subcommittee. Anyway, you is always okay, say yes, or I don't know. And it started our session in Bournemouth meeting, 1997, very, very ancient ago, previous centuries. And first session was so terrible. As I had forgotten all of the English sentences. I was shaking. Carole assisted me. She kindly should provide me some seed of the talk. I just read the sentence. Since then, we have collaborated over 14 years. Yes. She was always my sunshine, and because I was I said in whale-watching sessions, I was Crow in the dark night. I don't understand everything. But again, John Bannister said, it is okay. Carole can explain. Yeah, very, very, good time and my pleasure to collaborate with her. And last year, I have met her at the airport. And she was looks so tired, but still say, in sometime future, and we collaborate each other's. Maybe I was so old, and maybe we collaborated in the heaven. Anyway, maybe she was so happy because actually she managed whale-watching subcommittees over 14 years. Well, and I appreciate fully her, and I pray, her soul will be peaceful, repose of her soul. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
We were shopping, eating, and drinking many wines and beers 15 years. She was fuzzy and fair hair, and clothes were perfect. 1. We was going to Agisses and Tizim, Morocco. Camels were excellent. I was an emotional stroke. Talking, not writing or being. She did absolutely emotions. So sorry, Mason. We did 31 years old. Whale watching and time as travels. As many friends and personal associates. Cheers. Carole.
Yes. Thank you, Matt. Can I ask Greg Kaufman to... Where? Okay. Hope it's the right time.
Thank you. Last year, I brought my youngest daughter, Kulia, with me. And most of you were very kind and signed a card for Carole. And after I left here, I took it to Carole and spent about a week with her. And when I handed her the card, she opened it up and she looked inside, and she flipped it over. And she said, "I can't believe how many people signed this card." And then she turned it over and immediately sat down. And I thought, oh my goodness, is there something wrong? And she said, "I can't believe you got Doug Butterworth to sign the card." I said, "That was Kalia. She got Doug to sign the card." Well, I spent quite a few hours with Carole, and we talked about a lot of things. But one of the things we did was sit in her beautiful garden. If you've ever been to P-Town and visited her, you know that she was most proud of that garden that she had. And we ate breakfast there on Sundays, we ate lunch there, and we ate dinner there. And it's a magnificent garden. And the day I left, I hugged her and kissed her. And I walked out the door, and she opened the door. And I looked at her, and she looked at me, and I came back. And despite the fact that we talked many times after that, through email and on phone, we both knew that was the last time we were going to see each other. Now, I'll say to you that one of the greatest things that Carole enjoyed was her contribution to the IWC, but more importantly, the amazing women she worked with. She loved Caterina. She was inspired by you, Liz. Barbara, Elsa, you were her life. And Juke, you couldn't get a better friend. Third to the end. So I remembered, as I was driving away from that meeting, the 3 years earlier we were standing at the beach and overlooking the Sea of Oman, watching the sunset, after we just completed 8 days of whale watch training. And Carole stood there and grabbed my hand and said, "You and I have lived the greatest life ever. We have lived a dream. We have done what we have chosen to do in our life. We study whales, we interact with people, and we've made a difference." So today, I will tell you that Carole Carlson is someone with a vision. She was someone who listened to everyone who spoke. She had a smile that lit up a room, and she had a heart that was never ending. Carole, we're going to see you one day, and we all love you. Thank you.
Yeah, great. So 4 people give incredibly emotional speeches, prepping me to try to top that, and I can't top that. I mean, that was what was wonderful and very eloquent. Great, thank you. So I'm going to tell a story about Carole, and I did check with the Scientific Committee chair ahead of time if this was appropriate, and she said it was. So if you think it isn't, you can blame Caterina.
No problem.
Which we usually do for everything anyway. So as I said on the first day, I grew up in this field with Carole at the Center for Coastal Studies in Provincetown. I was there in 1980, she was there the year before. We worked on sort of the early days of photo ID together. And she was a remarkable colleague and a remarkable friend, and we spent a lot of time in the field together, particularly with humpback whales, and that included working off the west coast of Puerto Rico, where Dave Matilla had begun a project in 1978. So the way that this project worked was we would have a zodiac that we push out right before dawn. 2 people would go out on the zodiac, and then 2 people would go up onto the cliffs by the lighthouse near Rincon in Puerto Rico to spot for whales, and we would have radios and we would call them and say, you know, the whale is right behind you, or at 3 o'clock or whatever, and help them, because off Puerto Rico there's often very big swells. You lose whales in these swells a lot of the time. It's sort of coming up on a wave, and you see the whale, and suddenly, you know, it go down again. You can't see it anymore. And these whales dive for a long time there, in many cases. So we were up on the cliffs, Carole and I, one day, and there's a whale that we've been waiting for, it's been down for, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes. And there aren't that many whales off Puerto Rico, so you really have to make the most of the animals that you find. And suddenly this whale comes up. And it's apparent that David has not seen it, and the radio suddenly is no longer working. So Carole decides to try to get their attention, and this is from a good 3/4 of a mile away, by taking off her shirt. Under which, to my surprise and delight, she had nothing. So she is sort of waving her shirt, and at this point I'm not looking at whales anymore.
Nor the shirt.
It's not real, nor the shirt, yeah, and it's not clear why she thought this was going to work. It didn't. The whale went down, they missed it. I don't remember what happened after that, but it was a very, very good example of her sense of humor and sort of the real free spirit that we all came to know and love. So this is a hard one for me. We grew up together in this field. She was a remarkable woman, and she was my friend, and I'll miss her, and that's all I'll say. I hope that wherever she is, she's either come back as a whale or she's hovering over Chiloé right now, looking at the blue whales on her backs there. Thank you.
Okay, well, if Phil said follow that when he was doing it, imagine how I feel. Well, actually, I feel fine, because I actually think Carole's looking down thinking he's going to make a fool of himself again. And I'll comfort him afterwards. And that's one of the most motherly things about Carole. And I appreciate it, even though I'm an old man and she wasn't as old as me, she still had that motherly touch. I'll just tell a couple of stories spread apart more or less by the decades that I knew Carole. The first time I met Carole was actually not in an IWC, well, it was in an IWC context, but she wasn't anything to do with the IWC at the time. I'd only just kind of started. I was a naive, not very good, but still Catholic, bog-trotting Irishman who really was innocent and naive. I'm still innocent and naive, but I was even more innocent and naive then. And we had a meeting organised by Steve Lazaro, I think it was. It was a killer whale workshop in Provincetown. I'd never even heard of Provincetown. I knew about America, of course. It's a large province of Ireland, so I'm told. So anyway, I went to this place, and I was just going for a meeting, and I thought that was great, and bumped into a few people, and we went to look at coastal studies, and Carole was there, and we went out for dinner with a few of us, and we were walking along the street, and there was a lady who I thought was in distress trying to fix a car, so the bonnet, or do you call that the hood? Anyway, the front bit, where the engine is, whatever you call that lifting thing, we call a bonnet, was open, and there was a lady with a skirt and stuff, and I said, should we better stop and help this lady? Not that I'm brilliant with cars, but that's what you do. So anyway, she didn't say anything, she just kind of smiled. And then the lady turned round, and the lady had a very big beard. And I just had, as I say, if you know Provincetown, there's nothing remarkable about that, but for me, I had no idea what was going on. And she just put her arm there and said, "Welcome to Provincetown." So that was the very first time I met Carole. Clearly, Provincetown isn't her responsibility, but actually there's something about Provincetown that does hold her spirit deeply. The other little story I'll tell very quickly was more at the other end, and because I'm getting old I don't remember the year exactly, but Carole and Lorenzo decided I should go to a whale watching workshop being held in Puerto Madryn for the IWC. to sort of discuss how we could take whale watching initiatives forward in the IWC. And I won't talk about the meeting, it was fun, and I don't know much about whale watching, as you might have gathered. Well, I know a lot more now thanks to Carole, but anyway, it wasn't that part of it, it was, if you know, it's a long way from Buenos Aires, which is how you get back to Europe. And I don't remember the details, I think it was a strike, I don't think it was anything else, but anyway, the little plane that flies you from there up to Buenos Aires, which takes, I don't know, hour and a half or something, anyway, a reasonable amount of time, was off. So we had to travel, all of us, by bus. And again, I don't know if it was 24 hours or 36 hours, or it was an awful long time to be on a bus. And I was thinking, oh jeez, I'm not really looking forward to this, and then having a long flight back. But anyway, luckily by the way the draw went, there were these kind of, they were in pairs, these things, and the seats go back, not quite like business class in an aeroplane, but anyway, they went back quite a long way. But still, I was thinking, I really don't feel like spending that amount of time on a bus. But I won the lottery, and I got Carole next to me. And she, I mean, we always talk and stuff, but she is the most entertaining, wonderful person who looks after you. And I won't tell you all the stories, but she told me a lot of stories about a lot of you, which, if I ever get short of money, I know exactly what I can do. But I never believed that a bus ride that long could be so much pleasure. And it was totally down to Carole. And I, probably not on a personal one, but just from an IWC point of view, she made such a major contribution, not just to whale watching, but also to things like catalogues, getting people together who would never normally talk to each other, and somehow or other, with the miracle of her love and enthusiasm, she brought people together who you would never think anybody could bring together. So I think I'll stop now and do something which Carole would never do. She would never allow me to have an empty glass, but I have an empty glass. But I think we all probably have, but to Carole, who's up there laughing, and she's probably going to arrange a rainstorm for us when we go on. So, to Carole.
Thank you very much to all of you. Is there anyone else that would like to say something? David.
I'll make it very quick because I know people want to get some more wine.
David. We can get the wine. Whoever brings the wine, please bring more. We are dry.
Just to clarify, also when I came to Provincetown to start working at the Center for Coastal Studies, Carole welcomed me to Provincetown, like Greg, and she said, David, let's go to the TV convention. And I was like, wow, there's a bunch of people selling TVs in Provincetown. Well, I was in for a surprise. Greg, I think your mechanic was there. But also, Phil, I saw you guys there. Why would I call on the radio and say that I saw you? And then finally, I think what many of you know is we almost did not have Carole. And Affleck came into the Center for Coastal Studies and learned all about photo ID, just like the young Greg Donovan came in and learned all about photo ID from Carole. And thank goodness she didn't go in that path into Hollywood, and stayed with us and was an inspiration for us. And we, again, where's the wine? Let's make another toast to Carole.
Anyone else wants to share some memory of Carole? No? Maybe it's Carole talking to us. Okay, well...
So, on the behalf of Naomi, who is writing now the report of the better want to have some few thoughts.
Please.
Oh, thank you.
As I've been volunteered for this, Greg Kaufman was telling us that when Carole got her bad news in San Diego, she turned around to him and said, well, that sucks. So quite frankly, IWC without Carole, well, that sucks.
I agree. Thanks. So, if no one else wants to say something, you still have an opportunity to send your memories of Carole to Joke. She will be happy to receive memories and present them at the memorial, which will be very soon, beginning of June.
June 2nd, I think.
June the 2nd in Provincetown. So if you cannot attend, obviously it's not very close for many of us, you can certainly send a few words or even more to Juke. She's very happy to gather them. Phil.
Actually, I have to add something here to what Greg said about the Killowell meeting in Provincetown. I'll tell a story about that because I can tell you where that came from, which was, and Carole was involved in this too. So I organized a fin whale meeting in Provincetown to discuss sort of collaboration on fin whale photo ID. And I decided we were going to do it during there's an annual cross-dresser convention there, and I thought, well, let's do it in the third week of October, which is when we do this, because it'll be fun. So we did. We went out, and we invited Ed Mitchell as the sort of keynote speaker. And we took him along to one of the public events, which was the talent show. And Ed was completely transported by the sight of cross-dressers lip-syncing on a stage. And so when it came to time to organize the Killowell meeting, I was talking with Steve Leatherwood, and he said, we're looking for a place. And Carole and I said, hey, hold it in Provincetown during the cross-dresser convention. And that's what he did. So that's how you ended up helping a mechanic who turned out to be male.
Thank you. Okay, so for all of you that wants to remember Carole and don't have the words right now, as I said, please write your thoughts to Juke. But you also have another possibility. You can ring the bell of the church. Mark organized that, so I don't see him. He's always hiding. Anyway, so find Mark and he will explain you how that works. And thank you very much. I really hope that this was the right way to remember Carole. We all loved her for one reason or another. And yes, I mean, she's with us. She will be with us forever, I believe.
To Carole.
To Carole.
To Carole.